Some of your critics have argued that you have the tendency to withdraw when things don't particularly go your way. So are you committed to staying for the long haul this time?
That's really not fair because I had 14 cases. I was already sentenced to 5 years in prison. I didn't withdraw. What happened after the last general election was that Pakatan leadership more or less felt that it was best to accommodate Tun Mahathir. And, my dissenting view, despite whatever my contribution towards the general election, my dissenting view then was seen as destabilizing. That was the attitude of Pakatan Harapan leadership. That was the attitude of PKR leadership. If you're in my shoes, first, I wasn't really interested in politics in the first place. I mean, it's quite obvious, I was not made for politics. Secondly, I've more or less done my bit. And I understood the thought process at the leadership during those times that it was best to accommodate Tun Mahathir and not pay attention to dissent. So what choice do you think that I have? The best thing to do is to accept that hopefully they'll be able to do justice to the mandate that was given to them. I could once in a while still give my opinion, but I also understand that the opinion was not really welcome, not just by Pakatan Harapan and also by the public at large, to be frank. So in that situation, the best thing for you to do is to accept that you've done your bit. It's nothing personal. I was not interested in any position anyway. I was only hoping that we managed the transition to a fledgling democracy properly, because such changes all around the world usually was short-lived. It was not managed properly. I understood my place and I moved on. And to be frank, I had no intention to come back. But it's precisely because after Johor election, it was quite obvious we are going back to pre-2004, where the fence-sitters' support for Pakatan is around 10-11%. And when you already have another coalition, which is Perikatan Nasional, already surpassing 25 to 30% voter support, that really risks pushing PKR and Pakatan Harapan to become a third party in a multi-party system. And anywhere in the world, the third party usually don't survive. And unless we appeal to the fence-sitters again and try to bring up Pakatan Harapan and PKR to being a second party, everything that I think a lot of people have worked hard for the last 2-3 decades most probably will be returned to square one, because what we are facing now is a scenario where if the top two biggest coalitions in parliament is Malay-centric, with no differentiation of ideas, no differentiation of approach to economic policies, then voters, generally the fence-sitters who are not happy now, 5-6 years down the line will wake up and realize that we don't really have a choice. It's either this one or that one, but we know nothing will more or less resolve the problems radically that this country needs. So I think appealing to fence-sitters and to energize the fence-sitters becomes extremely important now. So that's why there's no question, I think what was the past, there's no point to talk about it. I can go on and on and on about what had happened. That would just put, a lot of people uncomfortable because, it had happened. I think the focus should be how do we capture the imagination of the fence-sitters again so that they believe that it's worth doing, that change or continuously putting your faith in a progressive coalition is something that is worth doing for them.